Currently I include 2 jobs in my 60s. I worry about on how my family and their family will manage in and more aging people. Significantly older rather than largest of his company workers, Aoki, a ex-IT employee, is as well one of just a fistful of Japan citizens involved by a Saitama-based drift business belonging by a Kurd ex-refuge seeker. The business, the most of whose workers hail of Turkey, Iran, and different components of Africa, is partly distinctive in Japan, wherever overseas citizens do up fair 1.6% of the nation's common people. Managed by Mehmet Yücel, 28, the business is portion of a increasing and substantially uncontrolled local economics, how is helped to ease Japan's labor lack in as called unwanted sectors such as drift and building. With basis the business in 2016, Yücel says he has acquired everyday telephone call of migrant in searching of job, several in the order to job juridically and other out of. Japan is lay the curtain eye to these workers since it as necessary them, but it won't go up in a appropriate length term policy for them, says Yücel, whose business is arranged on the fringes of the Japan equity. Yücel came to Japan 12 years ago to flee ethnical dispute. Now marital to a Japan female, he has constant residence statute. Portion of a growing team of millionth legislative migrant, Yücel considers oneself one of the happy ones. Although Japan is the 4th largest funder to the UN Asylum Seeker Agent, UNHCR, in 2016, it recognized fair 28 refugees of a full of 10,901 applicants. Grizzled people by 2060, the nation's people is anticipated to sinker by more than rather than 40 millionth of 2010, 2 millionth human beings, onto a projecting by the Japan Public Health Ministry. In less workers' profitable taxes to supporting a increasing silvery people in requirement of pensions and health services, Japan's economics is cladding an unparalleled problem. Inviting Japan's declining people and stimulus as opposed to a load, Main Secretary Shinzo Abe has taken to promote more than elder countrymen and female to exceed the labor. Yet external observers claim how big-scale migration would ensure a more than evident fix to Japan's labor meltdown and demographics issues. But down there appears slight appetite suppressant amongst the nation's policy grade to growth levels of migration, yet essential the requirement. In 2005, the later director of the Tokyo Migration Office Hidenori Sakanaka, assigned a schedule wherever Japan would take 10 millionth migrant above a 50-year time. Few human beings backed the concept and it was after omitted. Lot human beings in Japan trust how the nation's world and balance is relying on it creature a homogeneous nation wherever down there are few foreigners, says Burgess. How type of thought pervades a lot of aspects of community and underlies the no migration concept. Doorway is closed. Japan's relation to the external planet is anything brand new, and the nation has a story of creature close off of overseas impact. For a time of insulation among 1641 to 1853, Japan prohibited its citizens of outgoing and foreigners of incoming. Just traders of China and the Netherlands were permitted at the seaport of Nagasaki on Japan's southernmost isle of Kyushu. Nor did Japan trust on overseas labor for its era of fast economical increase among 1955 and 1973. Just in the deceased 1980s, in the risk of a increasing labor lack, did the nation discussion the opportunity of receiving overseas workers, on to Atsushi Kondo, a law prof and migration specialist at Meiji College. With 1988, the Ministry of Labor has welcomed a little quantity of foreigners in top skills and qualifications. In the 1990s, the nation began to promote the back of Nikkijin, human beings of Japan reduction, to the nation, by a specific visa program. But the doors stay closed to cheap skilled workers. The engineering intern program is a hard embattled by the government program wherever overseas workers, mainly of China and Southwest Asia, journey to Japan to job in the farming and manufacture industries, presumably to purchase skills to give behind to their relevant countries. Expert claim, yet, how the program has led to the operation of several, and constrained other to rely on loopholes in the framework. Fume and mirrors Torah Islam. The engineering intern program, claiming how overseas workers ended up take servant jobs as opposed to training skills they could get behind to their relevant countries. He embattled else action how allows overseas students in Japan to job up to 28 several hours portion period. These programmed are all fair fume and mirrors, says Torii, a representative of Japan's Ministry of Judiciary, yet refuted Torii's complaint. This refuge seekers annex statute is misused by illicit migrant and we trust how largest of the applicants aren't very refuge repatriates. How intermittent the trial for actual refuge repatriates, he says. In 2016, Japan saw a 44% growth in refuge applicants in Indonesia, Nepal, and the Philippines, creature the top 3 countries of descent. A 2010 legislative review has led to the growth of economical migrants posing as refuge repatriates, on to Takizawa Saburo, an specialist on asylum seeker politics and a term of the Ministry of Judiciary migration politics debate pane. The 2010 legislative review allows foreigners in actual visa statuses who use for refuge to begin work 6 months following their annex is submitted. Time it allows refuge repatriates wait for their cases result to restore a feeling of normality and supporting themselves. It doesn't enable such out of a actual visa statute who use for refuge to job. While the embrasure in the law was found, it distribution via speech of jaw and is so known currently, says Saburo. Trapped in the framework in May of the year, about 20 refuge repatriates arrested at the Tokyo Provincial Migration Office staged a uncommon couple-week famine hit. Disappointed by a bureaucracy framework how is frequently sluggish to trial cases, the protesters claimed an end to reiterated detentions and a more than sustainable way to work visas. The numbers of refuge repatriates include enlarged, the numbers of migration officials hasn't, and has led to a actual latency in handling all these cases. He's difficult for both of parties, she says. At UCell's Drift website, 25-year-old Kurd refuge seeker Nureddin knows which he's loved to be trapped in the framework. He arriving in Japan in 2012, escaping dispute in southwest Turkey, and has consumable 2 stints in an migration arrest center. He is wait for his refuge instance to be machined. Nureddin has no legislative order to job, but he can rely on the local supporting of Men Love UCell, and on a greater Saitama Tokyo relying society of about 1,400 Kurd migrants to get by. Sames had no challenge work near his Japan associate in spite the tongue impeding. We might include various beliefs and ideologies, but while we're at job it doesn't question, we fair get the job made, Nureddin says. I'd be lucky to pay taxes to the country if I could get more than supporting in back, but I don't see how event at any time quickly. To his party, Aoki nods in treaty. Youthful human beings in Japan don't wish to do drift job, so he's useful to Japan community how overseas workers wish to do and they should get supporting of the country in back, Aoki says. Japan very as necessary to get above its sameness as a homogeneous nationality. If the nation remnant close away, the next is vague.